Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of AskCody On-Air. Today we're talking about something that happens to all of us, and it's last-minute changes. No matter how well we plan, meetings don't always just go as expected. Rooms get double booked, key people cancel, visitors show up unexpected. It just happens. It's the nature of it, and sooner or later we'll encounter some of these challenges on our work. When it does, it's actually frustrating because it causes delays, it disrupts schedules, and it creates extra work for admins, facility managers, and service teams. And when you look into how big of a problem this is, actually, there's studies that show that employees spend up to 392 hours per year in meetings. That's a lot of time. So when things don't go smoothly, it just adds up pretty fast. So let's see what we can do about that. Quick comment, remember that this is a live session, and as such, you're welcome to ask any questions you may have. You can do so at the top right corner of your webinar window or on the chat section. And if any, we'll just take the questions in the end of the session. But yeah, back to the topic. So today we'll go through 5 of the most common last-minute meeting disruptions and show how can AskCody help you handle them, hopefully without any stress. So let's get started. Let's get to the first one. And the first case is, when the meeting room became suddenly unavailable. You know the deal. You book a room, you send the invites, you plan the meeting, and then you found out that suddenly, the meeting room is no longer available. Maybe the last meeting ran over. Maybe there's a technical issue, or maybe it was just a double booking made by mistake, if your organization allows it. When this happens, of course, this can create a lot of confusion. People don't know where to go. It wastes a lot of time, and meetings get pushed behind schedule, and it's just, of course, not ideal. So what can we do about it? With AskCody, you can actually get a great overview and see real-time availability of other resources by using maps, central room displays, or dashboards. And you can find an available backup room, and you can book it instantly as well. Now, depending on where the meeting organizer is when they realize the meeting room became unavailable, the AskCody Meeting Management Platform offers different possibilities to find a new suitable location. So, for instance, when the meeting organizer is on the go and knows the office facilities, AskCody Maps is perhaps the fastest way to book a room. With Maps, the user can simply use their phone or computer, of course, or tablet to find the room they need and make it theirs with one tap. The user can then go ahead and notify the meeting attendees via Teams in case it is relevant about the relocation of the room. So let's actually take a look and see how can we do that. I'll just quickly stream from my phone here. So as you can see, I have already the office map open here on my phone. And what I'm simply going to do is I will find a room that is suitable for me. In this case, let's go with not this one, but this one, A104, because I know for a fact that I need a projector and a Cisco video conference equipment. Again, this is a use case for the employee that is quite familiar with the organization, that is quite familiar with, what kind of equipment do meeting rooms have? Because in these cases, which are pretty common actually, then booking a room is super easy. Then I just simply booked a room. Right now it's default by for a half hour, but let's actually we can actually place the booking and say that I want to make it to 2 hours. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to use this meeting room later on the session, but simply by tapping on book, then I have the meeting room. The meeting room is mine. So just by that, I've actually found a new meeting room and then made it my own, making, of course, a problem perhaps a little bit less of a headache, because now at least I have a solution to it. So that was option number 1. Again, thinking of the use case and thinking where the user is. If instead the meeting organizer is sitting at their desk where they have access to their computer, have access to Outlook, to Teams, they can then use a different approach, because then they can use the bookings add-in for Outlook and again Teams to find the best room that suits the criteria. Meeting attendees, because it happens in Outlook, will be automatically notified, and it just makes the process super easy for the person to handle these challenges. So let's actually see how can that be done really quickly. A quick refresher here for how to do this in the add-in. So basically, what I do here is that I have this meeting that happens actually on Wednesday. It's a tech due diligence follow-up, and then I get told that, of course, or I know that the meeting room is not available, so I need to find a new meeting room for my meeting. Because of the criteria of the meeting, then I know for a fact that I need a projector and Cisco video conference equipment. That's just standard for this type of meeting. And then I'm going to click on find. With the add-in, I see that I simply just get the most suitable options for my meeting, and then I can just simply click on the room that I want, add it to the meeting invitation, and then I can just remove the old room and then send a request. By doing this, I will have notified everybody. I would have relocated the meeting room, and then just with a couple of clicks, made sure that it wasn't really that big of a deal, and actually I could do something. I could do something really quick with it. Different type of scenario. If let's say the meeting organizer, and we're going through many different scenarios because, well, we need to meet the user where they are. We know for a fact that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, and the best solution for all of these things that I'm going to talk about depends on your organizational policies, depends on your organizational processes. But we try to give as many use cases to inspire you. So another use case could be that when you walk into the meeting room together with your team and are ready to have the meeting, perhaps with externals even, you may notice it's being used by someone else. And again, these people are not able to be moved out of the room. Therefore, you need to find an alternative. If this meeting room is located in a meeting room hub, basically a kind of a collection of meeting rooms, then it would perhaps be a good idea to use AskCody dashboards in unison with AskCody displays. So if the meeting room is again in a meeting room hub, it will have something like this, which is a dashboard that shows up meeting room availability or live room availability, allowing you to get a really quick idea on what's available and what's not right now. Based on this, if you have AskCody displays outside the meeting room that you potentially want to book, then you can just simply go ahead and tap on book, and then make the room yours with a couple of taps. Of course, you can adjust the booking times based on your criteria, and then just simply tap on book. Then the meeting room is yours, and you can just go ahead, enter the room, and then hold the meeting in there. That's option number 3 for solving this challenge. And option number 4, which is perhaps very relevant for those organizations that have a conference room manager on the floor. So this person that is in charge of ensuring that all meetings are in place, that everything is delivered at the right time and at the right place. In organizations where we have this type of profile, it is very relevant to use Central instead. Because with Central, by contacting this person, we can ask them to give us a new room. They can actually do it by simply, of course, using the Outlook adding the Outlook booking setting as a delegate. They can also do that, of course, but perhaps the fastest way is just using Central, because when using Central, I'm just showing it here on my screen. You can see that you have a great overview of all the activities of the workplace in this day. So what I want to do here is simply, well, I know that this meeting room is unavailable because the previous meeting, which is OKR planning in this case, ran long. And then what I want to do is that this tech due diligence meeting, what I want to do is I'm simply going to move it to A103, because I know that it has exactly what the organizer requires. And then I'm just simply going to tap on confirm That will make it so that in a few seconds we'll get the reply from Microsoft Exchange confirming that we actually got the meeting updated. Of course, because AskCody is directly integrated with Microsoft Exchange and Outlook, everyone gets updated about this change. The meeting organizer gets a confirmation email. The meeting attendees also get an update telling them that the room has been changed, and then in that way everybody gets notified about the update. In this case, it's taking a bit longer here, but the response time from Microsoft Exchange vary pretty often, but it's usually pretty fast. I'll be there in a few seconds. But that was it for number one. So when the meeting room becomes suddenly unavailable, there's many things we can do, and again, the best solution depends on where the user is right now. Now, let's actually go to use case number two. This one is where it's a really common issue as well, where you're about to start a meeting and a key stakeholder cancels last minute. So should we cancel the meeting? Should we reschedule? Should we actually continue without this key stakeholder, or adjust the agenda? What should we really do? Basically, if approvals or decisions were needed for this meeting, of course, the meeting might not be very productive without them. So it probably makes sense to reschedule. If services were ordered, those might go to waste. And if attendees don't know what's happening, it can actually create a lot of confusion and a big waste of time. With AskCody, of course, we can mitigate some of these impacts by quickly rescheduling or adjusting meetings with the booking setting for Outlook and Teams. Because these important meetings just require good handling, and need to make sure that everything and everyone is aligned. So let's actually see it in action really quickly. So if we just jump here into our second tab. For example, this tech due diligence, let's actually take the same meeting that we had, and then we're gonna open the room, and let's just say that this meeting was originally on Wednesday. Let's actually say that, well, we got a directive from the meeting organizer that actually the meeting needs to happen on Thursday at 10:30, because that's when the key stakeholder is available, and then the rest will adjust our schedules around it. So basically, we just need to make sure that the meeting happens on Thursday at 10:30 a.m., and then the rest will just readjust their schedules to make it to the meeting. So when that is the case, I will simply find the new date and time here in Outlook, and I will simply open the AskCody booking setting to make sure to find the best room. I can quickly figure out that well, it's actually on A104 meeting room for my meeting. So I'm just gonna click on the suggested room, click on add, and make sure to remove the old room from the invite so that it's not there anymore. And I'm just gonna hit on send. And then, as you can see, the meeting, of course, is rescheduled to the 6th of March. It's actually right here, and it is on A1.04. So just like that, I found a new room for the meeting with the new date and time, making sure that, of course, fits the schedule of the involved key stakeholder. Now, there's something here, because with these important meetings, there's often service requests associated to them. There's always perhaps a catering request or a facility management request or IT services associated to it. So of course, when there are changes to meetings, when there's rescheduling, when the meeting is canceled, these types of requests should also be updated, right? This is something that, of course, happens automatically with AskCody, and then when I reschedule the meeting the way that I did, it just simply makes sure to update the request as well. So if we open, I'm just jumping here to the Mail tab on Outlook, you will see that I actually got a confirmation or a receipt from AskCody, in this case from the service provider, that says that the service request that I had associated to this meeting, which basically was some coffee, water, and salty snacks right here, has been updated because the meeting room was changed as well. In this case, we also changed the date and time, but what's most important is that both the provider and the meeting organizer are notified that, well, the request is actually in place, is still everything's on track, and then everyone is on the same page. So really, really, really good. But what about the reception? What about perhaps this meeting, if it was with a key stakeholder, it is with we need to notify the reception. We need to notify the reception about someone coming on Thursday in this case, and not Wednesday. And how do we notify the reception? Of course, just like with the service provider, this information is updated automatically by AskCody. So if you're using the visitors module from the AskCody platform, this also updates the visitor list right here. So if we quickly take a look at the meeting invite right here, look at the attendees. Those are Lydia. Was it this one? No, sorry about that. Was this other meeting. Perfect. It was Megan, Lydia, and Patty that were the people registered for this meeting, the attendees. So those people should be arriving on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. instead. Now, there's jumping into the AskCody visitors portal. I can see that both Lydia, Megan, and Patty, the three visitors, will be arriving to a meeting called Tech Due Diligence Follow-up in this meeting room at this time. So basically on Thursday at 10:30 a.m. So basically making sure that the reception is always up to date and reducing a lot of communication back and forth between departments, which is crucial when managing last minute changes. Yes, so that is it for step number 2. Now, scenario number 3. Let's say an unregistered visitor shows up right before a scheduled meeting. Maybe they weren't added to the invite properly, or someone just brought a guest last minute. Things like this happen. But in these cases, in many cases, actually, the front desk is left scrambling, trying to verify the visitors, and the meeting gets delayed, and the meeting host is also trying to figure out what to do in some of the cases. Now, with AskCody Visitor Management actually takes care of this by keeping, again, like we just saw, the visitor list automatically updated whenever meeting details change, just like we saw right now. So we can actually prevent the issue from happening by having a company culture that says, well, everyone needs to be registered no matter what, or pre-registered at the reception. So the issue can be prevented in this way. Now, let's say, even though we have that policy enforced, someone just brought a guest last minute, and that can also happen. So if this is the case, if someone arrives unregistered to the reception, the reception is able to quickly verify with the meeting organizer if the person is allowed to be at the premises via Microsoft Teams. Let's actually look at how we can do this. So jumping into our third tab here. So imagining that this is the list of visitors that's coming today. We're on Thursday, and then instead of 3 attendees for this meeting, we get a 4th one that is claiming to need to be in this meeting. Now, the reception will have access to Central, because with Central, the reception can actually see all of the activities of the organization in this in a particular date, in a particular location as well. So in this case, of course, I'm the organizer of this meeting, but let's do an example with a different meeting. Let's say that we needed an additional attendee, or that someone is arriving or registered for this meeting, for the design workshop with Johan. So when I look at it, we got this number of attendees, and then the person at the reception is not here in this list. I can simply just, because the organizer probably knows whether there should be allowed or not in the premises. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply click here and then click on Start Chat on Teams. What this does is that it opens a meeting chat directly with this user, allowing me to very quickly verify with the meeting organizer on whether these people should be allowed in the building or not. Now, when I get the confirmation back from, in this case, Johan, that the person should actually be allowed into the premises, I can simply from the reception portal create a new check-in registering the visitor, or simply telling the visitor to just go ahead and register themselves in the check-in kiosk that perhaps is next to me. So in that way, very quickly, I can verify with the meeting organizer if this person should be allowed or not in the building premises. And then if so, then proceed to register them immediately, or have them register themselves in the check-in kiosk. So in this way, we can actually make sure that this is not a headache, and it's actually something pretty straightforward to handle, making it a stress-free process, and then just something that gets done really, really quickly. Now, let's see scenario number 4. Let's talk about something that probably most of us can relate to, and it's the fact it's actually something that can completely derail a meeting, and that is technical issues. Imagine that you're minutes away from starting the meeting, and a key piece of equipment, maybe the projector or video conference system or speakers, they just stop working. That's how it is. It's nature. It happens. So you're left pretty much trying to figure out whether you can fix it, whether you can move the meeting, or just push through without it. In some cases, the issue may be fixed really easily. Maybe it's just a cable that was unplugged, but in some others, maybe we need to find a new place to host this meeting, because we're just about to start a meeting. There's not a lot of time to take action here, because maybe there's a lot of people involved, right? So what we can do instead is that we can use Central if we have access, or otherwise ask someone with access to move this meeting for us. So with Central, let's actually just jump straight to it. With Central, again, we get an overview of all the activities of the workplace, and what I need to do is make sure to find a new place to host my meeting that has the exact same equipment as the room that I have. Now, with Central, it's great, because let's say that this is the meeting that actually is about to start and needs to be relocated. If this happens in room A104, for example, I need to make sure that whatever room I find has the exact same equipment, or at least the minimum equipment that I need for that. In this case, is for my meeting. In this case, it's a projector and a Cisco video conference equipment. Now, A105 has the exact same equipment. It has a projector and the video conference equipment. So I'm just going to go ahead and quickly reschedule this meeting there. Sure, reschedule it there, put it there. That is really good. And then I can just go ahead with my day. Now, you might be thinking, well, you just showed this. We already know that we can reschedule meetings in Central. That is true, of course, and this solves the issue for the meeting organizer. But what about the next person that will book this room? What about the next person that will think the room is available and then will just jump to it, only to have the same issue? Let's actually see how can we prevent that from happening. So in this case, if I was the meeting host and I was outside the meeting room, for example, I can just simply, after getting the new room, I can just go ahead and use the AskCody displays, which is located in the room, the original room, and then I can just simply report faulty equipment. The room again was A104, so this would be the room display for A104, which again would be placed right outside the meeting room. So if I want, for example, to let facilities know that, hey, in this case it was the Cisco video conference equipment that broke, I can just simply tap on the eye here on the top right corner. Select the equipment that I want to report, in this case, Cisco video conference equipment, and then just say, this is broken, it is not working. Then I just tap on send, and as you can see, it says, thank you for a report on top. What this does is that it sends, of course, it's an anonymous report because it's on a display, but it is a report that is sent directly to facility management, letting them know the location, of course, the time that is sent, and what's broken. So in this case, facilities can just go in and already plan fixing whatever was broken, or just go directly to it without any planning if they're on site for it. Now, to go even further and actually prevent users from booking this room, facility management can actually do quite a few things here. In Outlook, they can, of course, make sure to book an all-day event for the time of maintenance to prevent anyone else from using it. That would be a very, very simple way to do it. And in this way, kind of block the meeting room and prevent any other bookings in it. Now, with AskCody, you can actually do it, I'd say, in an easier way, because from the management portal, from the admin part or the web app, within resources, we can go ahead and find that resource, find that meeting room, and then simply mark it as inactive by clicking the toggle here. Now, what that does is that the resource immediately becomes unavailable for booking, preventing anyone else from booking it while it's inactive. Then a facility management can, of course, go ahead and make it active again once the room is ready to be used again. But this just makes sure that no one else gets the same problem, and prevents a lot of frustrations, prevents a lot of headaches, and makes it way easier for facility management to actually go and do whatever they need to do in the room. So this ensures that, of course, everyone is aligned, because as you can imagine, and as you can hopefully see already, communication is key here. It's not about solving the problem for one user. It's about solving the problem for that user, of course, but making sure that anyone else in the organization that has to use the resource or that interacts with it in any way also gets notified about something happening and that requires our attention. Now, last scenario that we're going to discuss today is when service requests need to be changed up to the deadline. Now, what happens when we need to modify any catering or IT support after the service deadline or after the request deadline has passed? Maybe the number of attendees has changed, or you forgot to request a projector or anything that you needed for the meeting. Late changes like this put a lot of stress on service teams, and in some cases, they just simply cannot be accommodated. But that's why AskCody has different preparation deadlines and different settings that we can adapt to give some flexibility as to how we set up the platform. So that in this case, the provider only get requests that they can realistically deliver. But depending on the nature of this request, it may still be possible to place requests from the providers after the deadline has passed. What does that mean? Well, making a cup of coffee or bringing a flip chart to a room usually takes significantly less time than baking a cake or providing a buffet for a 10 people meeting, right? Therefore, by setting the preparation deadline on an item level, we'll see how that looks in a second, we make sure to allocate time for each item according to the nature and amount of effort as well that it requires from the service provider to deliver. So let's actually look at three possibilities within the AskCody platform to tackle this issue. So how can we make sure to allow employees to get what they need for the meetings, even though the service preparation deadline has actually passed? Now, just to make sure, I'm not trying to get around any processes here. I'm just trying to show more flexibility in the platform for you to implement these policies in your organization. So jumping here to my fifth tab, right here. The first way in which we can tackle this is actually leaving items without a preparation deadline. As I just said, there's some items such as perhaps packaged snacks or a cup of coffee or water, or items that require little to none preparation deadline from the service provider part. Those items we can perhaps leave open for requesting at any time. So employees can always, even 5 minutes before a meeting, always request perhaps an extra cup of coffee or an extra glass of water or whatever they may need, right? This is, of course, made in agreement with the service provider, because again, when we have items such as here, we look at a bakery. Let's open this croissant. We see that there's a preparation time for 1 day. That is because this is a freshly baked item. This requires a lot of preparation from the provider, so we need to make sure that it's requested only when it can be delivered to it. Now, instead, if we look at the small bites category here, we have 6 items here: candy, chocolate bite, and stuff that is already packaged, that is pretty much ready, and I just need to take from the shelf and delivering to the room. That doesn't really take that much time. So if we look at the salty snacks, for example, what I see here is that I have absolutely no preparation time. So what happens is that, well, it doesn't matter how late it is for the meeting, I can actually just go ahead and request some of this. This is, of course, completely customizable, and whatever is made available here is up to your organization. But you can actually just make a list of, a coffee, water, and some relevant items that you want a place to always be available to request from a provider. So this is one way to go about it. The second way is that we can actually reach out to the provider via the services add-in by sending them a note, letting them know about the changes that are required on the request. They can go ahead, and the provider has always full access to the list of requests, so they can actually go ahead and modify them from the portal. But from the user side, we can actually reach out via the add-in. Let's actually see how we do that. Jumping into Outlook, to our meeting. I believe Outlook. I'm not entirely sure if this is fully up to date, because we moved that meeting exactly. So it's right here. When we open this meeting, for example, and then we locate the AskCody services add-in here, we're able to see all of the service requests that we have associated to this meeting. In this case, we have 4 cups of coffee, 4 waters, and 4 salty snacks. Now, if this provider had perhaps exceeded the preparation deadline, I wouldn't be able to edit any of this. And instead, what I can do is add a comment to the provider. So let's say I need to add 2 extra cups of coffee because there's an additional guest. So I can just simply go ahead and here in the comment, write, please add 2 extra cups of coffee. And then what I can do is simply update the request. It says success, your request has been received. And then we just jump here into the provider side. So basically trying to see what the providers sees from their side, to see the comment right here that it says, please add 2 extra cups of coffee. Of course, the provider can always go into the request and then say, well, I'm actually going to fulfill that. I can go ahead and edit it. And then just as a provider, I just say, well, it's actually six cups of coffee. Then I update the request. Just like that, we can talk to the provider without necessarily having to go physically to them, letting them know that, well, I actually need to make a few changes, even though I know that the preparation has passed. And then, of course, it's up to the provider to decide whether they actually fulfill the request, or they actually cancel it because, well, they can just simply not do it. Last way in which we can tackle this is actually by creating an item under each category called request outside deadline. How does that look? Just have a screenshot right here. This item, which you can see right down here, can be made with no preparation deadline, and can be anything between quotation marks. In this case, if we're following this approach, we need to make sure, of course, to agree with employees what's possible and what's not possible here, because what we want to allow is for employees to select that after the preparation deadline has passed, which we can see right here, for example, for lunch. In this case, the user cannot request lunch, but they can make a request outside deadline. So what they can do is simply make a request outside deadline, clicking or selecting this item, and then on the comment box, just like we just did, add a note to the service provider, letting them know, well, I actually need A, B, and C for this meeting. I know it's past the request, but I hope you can fulfill it. And then in that way, try to make the request that way. And then again, it is fully up to the service provider to decide whether they are able to fulfill the request, or just cancel it or reject it because it's just an unrealistic request. So this is just a different way to handle this. And as you can see, there are many different ways to handle this use case with AskCody. And once again, the best one depends on the processes and logistics of your organization, and it also depends where the user is. Now, if you have an in-house service provider and then you happen to be at the kitchen close to the meeting, well, you might as well just talk to the service provider as well, and then let them know about the changes for your meeting, and then they can already also go ahead and make those edits in the AskCody portal, making sure that the let's just say the expense report for the meeting when finance does thus a settlement at some point later in the quarter, later in the year, is actually in place, and that we make sure to have everything registered for specific meetings as well. That concludes the 5 most common last minute meeting changes and how you can actually go about them with AskCody. But let's make a quick session takeaways. I know this session has been a bit longer than usual, but I hope that you still find it useful. So first of all, the first takeaway: communication is key, and as I hope you can see, whenever something happens with a meeting, it's not just one person that's affected. It's a big portion of the organization, because the reception needs to be updated, the service provider needs to be updated, meeting attendees, both internal and external, need to also be kept up to date. So it's a lot of people that certainly needs to be notified, and then without effective communication, well, a bunch of stress is created, and a bunch of let's just say unnecessary friction is also created. So communication is key, and is probably the most important thing to take away from this session. Now, a good overview is not enough. When changes like this happen, when there's a last minute change in meetings, it is very important not only to get the full overview of what's going on in the organization, but also to be able to take action on the spot, because this is what makes this or makes a difference between having a very stressful situation versus having a quite actually a pretty fast way to tackle these challenges. So a good overview is not enough, and because of that, having a tool set, having a full-fledged meeting management portal like AskCody, together with a powerful Microsoft 365 platform, just makes it super easy for you and your organization to tackle all of these challenges without it being a hassle, without it being stressful, without it being annoying. So having the right tool set is also very important. Last but not least, having an integrated platform is much better than having a disjointed solution. What do I mean about this? Again, when managing meetings, there's a lot of employees or a lot of departments that are involved in the process. There's IT, there's service staff, there's receptionists, there's secretaries, there's meeting attendees, there's finance, and there's many more. So for each of these departments to be notified whenever there's a change on a meeting, it would be very difficult to keep track of all the changes if we're using different platforms for making sure to implement these last minute changes. Now, with a platform, for example, like AskCody, a meeting management platform, it doesn't matter if it's the receptionist, it doesn't matter if it's the service provider or the meeting attendee. Everyone is kept in the loop because of the native integration with Microsoft Exchange. So because of that, it makes it very easy to communicate. It makes it very easy to, just by dragging and dropping a meeting in Central, everybody's kept in the loop. Service requests get updated, and visitors lists get also updated immediately. So having an integrated platform that has different modules that allows the organization to interact with different parts of the meeting is much better than having a disjointed solution where the reception has one system or one platform, and then the meeting attendees and the meeting organizers have a different platform to set up their meetings, and when there's a third platform for services. I think you see the point. So it's much better to have an integrated platform that manages all of this, because that just centralizes not only management but also communication. But yeah, that's what I had for today. Like I said, the session was a bit longer than usual, but there was just quite a bit to cover, and I hope that you find it useful. Now let's see if there's any questions from the audience today. Well, it doesn't look like, and that's also, of course, absolutely fine. I'd like to invite you to connect with us to stay in touch. You can do that by scanning the QR code shown on screen, or by searching for AskCody Community directly on LinkedIn. Then you can just join the AskCody community and get the conversation started there, where we have some of our customers there. And if you have any question such as best practices for meeting management or anything that you would like to ask the AskCody team, you can also do it there. You can also feel free to contact me directly. Here's my email on the screen, david.b.posada@askcody.com, in case you have any feedback or would like me to touch upon a topic of your choosing in some of these sessions, because this is what these sessions are for you. So of course they need to stay relevant, and if you have any ideas, please also let us know. That's it. Thank you very much for joining again, and have a great day.